All right, welcome everyone. We're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we're here for
Legend of the Galactic Heroes, Episode 9. Okay.
All right, so now Oberstein has joined up with Reinhardt.
Indeed.
And
dangerous conversations have been had.
Yeah, he doesn't know Reinhardt's full motivations yet, but he has heard the rumors, so he is counting on Reinhardt's ambition to be something that would have him be counted as an ally.
Yes.
Which Reinhardt did.
And
he wants him as an ally.
Yep. And he was very upfront about the things that would need to be done.
Yeah. But yeah, we've got the Isolon Fortress in the hands of the Alliance. We've got Reinhardt now establishing ties with the right people here. Now the question comes to, what will the Alliance and the Empire do now that the big border fortress is now in the hands of the other side?
If this were a school playground, that thing that is that teeter-totter thing that's always stuck at one side just went like that. So, yeah.
So, yeah. Yo, without further ado, let's get into this. Alright, everyone, be sure to go check out the reaction portion of the video in the description below, and then come back here for the discussion.
Okay.
All right, so we have the Clop stop incident, and
what an unfortunate
last name, what an unfortunate guy. Yeah. And wow, to resort to such extremes so quickly, I guess being kicked out of society in that regard would have been a huge problem. But I guess
a family left, you're getting old.
Yeah, I guess he had nothing to lose, really.
Right, because he's just like, well, I'll either try and get my kids taken care of, and when that failed, all right,
vengeance.
You're gonna die.
Yeah, and I guess maybe the part that's just freakishly like terrifying about this is that this is just one guy,
right,
who had a grudge.
Yep.
And because he was emotionally slighted, he nearly killed the Kaiser, Reinhardt's sister, the Prince of the Kaiser, and
Reinhardt.
Yeah.
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 Yep.
So that's a thing.
And as far as the way that it was dealt with, I kind of like that it wasn't something where... Because, like, I was expecting it to be something where everyone figures it out and then they stop the threat, whatever.
Right.
But no, it turns out they didn't, right? Because they weren't sure that it was a threat. They didn't, they weren't sure that there was some bomb thing that was going to happen.
Right.
So, instead, by, the devil's own luck, right, Reinhardt happens to be like, oh, move that thing somewhere else, and there you go, right? Mere seconds before the bomb detonates. Yep.
Probably a lot of people that died, though. Because the bomb was something that was so devastating that even though it was moved out of the hall, like out of that main room...
it still hurt people in that room.
It still destroyed parts of the building in that room.
Right. And it was probably something where they were planning, where the intent was that it would take out everyone in the room.
I think the main intent was that the main targets who would be close would be the Kaiser, who would hold the scepter.
Well, or I think it was just that it was close to where he would sit.
Well, yeah, but I think the reason why it's put there at the very least is it's maybe something that would be helpful. The Kaiser would see it and be like, oh, that's very thoughtful of you. You have a cane for me to hold. He's an old guy,
Maybe.
Okay, maybe not. But at the point of just assuming that it would stay there, which I personally don't see...
that's a gamble at best.
It's a gamble at best. That I would assume that the function of it had some reason to be there, and it wouldn't be just something where they would look at it. Because, I mean, maybe the Kaiser would have come and sat down and be like, the hell is this thing doing here? Sit that away. I have my own scepter.
But the place where it was set was a bench, not a chair. Like it wasn't the chair of honor.
That is actually a very interesting thing to bring up, because when they first showed it, I'm pretty sure it was actually near the throne.
What it was is that the bench was set up like to the side of the throne, like against a wall, So the idea would be that it would be, the prime targets would be closest to it.
So yeah, he eyes the throne and Braunschweig.
Right.
goes in. We have the stuff with Flagel.
Mm-hmm.
They have some brilliant little repartee going back and forth there. He's already left. Okay, you're right. It was always at the bench. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But it was a big bomb, so that wasn't a problem.
Right. The bomb should have been able to kill most everyone.
Yep.
At the very least, harm most of the people that would be close by. Okay. So I would say this was a rather simple episode, and I like that this wasn't given an arcs focus or what have you. There, it's an episodic thing there. And this is a unique structure, I would say, for Legend of the Galactic Heroes amongst some of the other anime that we've watched, where they will have linear progression to the characters' storylines for the most part.
Yeah.
Within like things like rank and all that kind of stuff, because it has to have some good continuity in there. But then you can have little mini episode arcs, like one episode arcs like these, where it's just one noble decides to do some shady stuff, and there you go.
And while it might seem kind of like, oh, okay, maybe was this episode necessary because we already knew that there was stuff like this happening,
right?
I feel like this episode was very important, even if the instance of the episode isn't super important,
right?
Because one, it does demonstrate again that there is lots of infighting within the Empire. Two, the pomp of the Empire in the episode directly prior, basically the most recent big event that just happened is the big Kahuna fortress just got taken, right? There is a shift in the balance of power in galactic society, right? Oh, but there's a birthday party. So, all the VIPs are still there, right? Without a care in the world about the war effort or things like that, right?
Right.
And of course, Reinhardt's thinking about that, but that stuff still continues to go on, right?
Right. The galaxy is a big place.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or maybe even crazier enough, the way Reinhardt said he wants to be like the ruler of the universe.
Uh-huh.
Maybe they do have some form of intergalactic travel. Maybe. And this is just so far removed from the war that the Empire is actually huge.
Or maybe it's something where this is something I would really like, is if they were just in the one galaxy and they were thinking, okay, what if we can expand beyond this galaxy, right? That is something that
I'm sure it's probably just one galaxy for now.
Probably.
As well. We ended up getting that info regarding the previous
Kaiser
and how he fell. So this is something. What was his name? Otofried. So this Kaiser was one of the assassinated ones in recent history.
Yep.
And this is a common thing. This is a frequent thing.
Right.
They didn't say how many of the recent Kaisers were assassinated out of how many. Like they said 5 of the recent Kaisers were assassinated, but we don't know how many recent is.
Well, and also they said that they don't know how many people have actually died because of infighting and stuff. So there's the obvious assassinations, but there might be other ones that were perfect assassinations, right? Where no one knows.
Right. The big thing I gained from that was that of the nobles, like the non-Kaisers, I would say, there's probably tons of people that have died due to infighting, and they had no idea knowing what that would be.
It's like counting sand on the seashore.
Right, and I wonder if this is part of the reason why security is so bad at these places. The idea that a bomb could make its way through.
Sure.
It's that there's so much pomp surrounding the Empire and what have you that appearances must be maintained. And if we had everything be, secure to that extent, this infighting also couldn't happen as much. And so maybe the Empire as a system is a bit complicit because they're all okay with the infighting thing happening as long as, we win,
Well, one of the other things that they could do is, because there's the meta reason of like, okay, you don't want to have the whole episode be about security, right? Because that's not exciting.
You just show it. You don't need to actually have it be about it.
Right.
It's really easy.
But one of the other things that they can do is that they could say that because it's so understood that infighting is just what happens, that it's a common practice for all of the nobles in the Empire to keep up to date on all the security practices, so that when they decide to do something like this, they know how to get around it. it's something that's important enough for them that, yeah, they've done their due diligence.
An 80s
and it could be that it's an 80s thing, and, technology, in the 80s was a lot less secure, Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So, bomb and a scepter, or bomb and a cane, or what have you.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Genius. Reinhardt's really lucky. Kirchheis, though, choosing to have this be something where he summons Reinhardt instead of going in himself by pulling rank, which he did eventually tell them his rank, which then made them follow his orders, but not necessarily have Kirchheis enter.
Right. He doesn't seem to be the
assertive.
The gallivanting, guns blazing, I'll go and do the thing with, all that. Like he follows protocol.
Well, I mean, he could just say, "Let me pass." I don't know if anything about that would be against protocol.
Well, just the idea that, it's like, well, we're supposed to not let anyone that doesn't have an invitation through, sir. So it's like, oh yeah, that's your job. No, I get it. So, like being very amiable about it.
Sure. I guess that's a thing of where he doesn't maybe have that sense of urgency because he doesn't know how bad the situation is.
Yeah, which might be something where
that just makes sense.
A lesson in him learning to trust his instincts when he thinks there might be danger.
Especially when it comes to Reinhardt or someone
because
he has some responsibility for.
Because in any kind of potential life-threatening situation, when they're in positions where there will be many life-threatening situations, assuming, hope for the best, plan for the worst kind of a thing. Is very important.
Yeah, this could also be an aspect of Kirchheis being young and having a position that exceeds his age by a lot of the imperial standards.
And not being comfortable, throwing that kind of weight around.
Yeah, yeah. Whereas we've seen characters like the Marquis Secretary of State. He regularly...
Lichten something.
Yeah, well, he's one of the main heads of state as far as the empire goes. He was one of the ones that apparently we found out in this episode why he's so powerful is that the current Kaiser, Rudolf, he doesn't like to do politicking and all that.
Right.
So he gave a lot of his executive power, not necessarily gave it away, but he delegated a lot of executive power to the Secretary of State.
Well, and that's I find that cool that they brought that up, because that's actually something that, at least in the U.S., is something that the U.S. does a lot too. Because if you think about while there may be someone at the top that's in charge, it's like, okay, and then they have their management people that are like, okay, manage all the day-to-day stuff, because otherwise it'd be too much, right? You couldn't have one person running something like the empire. It just wouldn't work.
But that's literally what he's doing here. The Secretary of State is just another one person, though. It's not a Congress. It's not a committee.
Sure.
It's not a parliament or what have you.
Yeah.
So it feels a little bit corrupt in my mind. Because
definitely.
It's just giving way too much power to a specific individual.
Right.
But this is another thing that I want to bring up. In Overture to a New War, there was a very real amount of conspiracy stuff going on between Flegel, Prince Braunschweig, and the Secretary of State.
That is very true.
Those two were very much... those three were all very much in cahoots with each other.
Yeah.
And as far as an alliance goes within the political intrigue sphere of the Empire, that is the biggest one that Reinhardt will probably have to contend with.
That's a good point. We haven't really gotten too much of that kind of intrigue stuff since Overture to a New War, because usually it's with the other military leaders that Reinhardt's contending with, or more recently, what Yang has to contend with the alliance.
Yeah, but I think Reinhardt said... it was either the previous episode, I think it was the previous episode, he was saying that basically his next opponents will almost all be political based, and that was part of his conversation with Oberstein. So characters like the Secretary of State, like Prince Braunschweig and Flegel, Baron Flegel, I should remember the titles, but those are the ones where he's got the most vulnerabilities towards.
Right.
They know about his sister. And there's a possibility that, let's say the Kaiser does die.
Oh, yeah.
Who is his successor? Does he have a natural successor?
I don't think he'd be the prince.
Okay, right. Prince Braunschweig should be the natural successor. You're right. But if he dies, then the protection surrounding Reinhardt's sister goes away.
And it's very common for military leaders to contend with nobility for ruling. So Reinhardt is kind of he would be a priority target, once the Kaiser dies. Now, one of the other things that could happen is Reinhardt mentioned to Oberstein last episode, oh, by the way, I'm gonna need to have you kill people for me. Like that's gonna be something that you're gonna need to do.
Yeah.
I hope you understand that.
Yeah.
Because I made a big sacrifice in order to save your ass, so you're gonna have to pay me back, right?
Yeah.
And then they immediately in the next episode not only have it be something where it's I'll remember this and but do it personally. Let's do this. Let's do this like man civilized people. Yeah, man to man. Yeah. And then he's like, oh, also make sure your sister stays safe. And he just kind of looks at him like there was the I'm going to like. This is gonna be fun beating you to like
tactical target acquired,
destroy, terminate with extreme prejudice. Like I would not be surprised if very soon Oberstein is sent on a little mission to meet Flegel.
To meet him. Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So that was a thing.
Oh yeah.
Some good insults thrown. Some good passive aggressive, noble to noble kind of dialogue and such. It felt very consistent with what they've done with Braunschweig so far. To have him be the one that they're setting up as yes, he's a cunning evil bastard.
Right.
And we're going to showcase you that he even bullies this old man who just ended up being on the wrong side of a of a dynasty. Mm-hmm. And, he had to choose at some point back then. The only reason Braunschweig's probably okay is just because he happened to be the son of the guy that ended up being the Kaiser.
Although if you think about it, Braunschweig can't be that smart because smart people know when to not make enemies. And they know when something that they're doing is probably going to make an enemy.
That's true.
And he didn't. He did it purely out of spite.
Well, I think the idea of doing something like this out of spite, while it's something that he definitely was okay with making this man an enemy in terms of a political enemy.
Yeah.
He was already a political enemy of him all this time. So I think what he didn't realize was that this guy, by asking him this, was essentially begging desperately, please give my family beyond my lifetime a chance at returning to the court. And basically, now this is a very these obviously very privileged people who are definitely. Oh no, I can't show up in court, my life is ruined. But no, there's probably some things where they wouldn't be able to marry into further nobility, so they wouldn't get any real access to lands or income via just being nobles. Oh no, would they have to work or something? But
but that's a big deal because it probably took a long time for their family to be able to accumulate that kind of power and just be like, oh no, it's all done. So he comes to you,
and his descendants will keep paying for that. The sins of the father kind of thing is very much a
definitely
problem in these types of societies.
But the fact is that this guy who is an enemy comes to you with humility and basically does the begging thing, right? Yeah. Please do this for my children. When he says do this for my children, that's something where he's not thinking about himself.
Right.
And
he literally said that. I'm not thinking about myself here.
Assuming that Brunswick was able to believe him, right?
Right.
That should be concerning.
Right.
Because that means he's not thinking about himself. If I turn him down here, one, I'm not turning down him, I'm turning down his children, which can be a lot more get a lot more hostility, but also he might have nothing to lose.
There's also the possibility that even if it ends up being a thing where the guy ends up doing something and he fails and it just puts him further down the societal ladder, his kids will then have nothing to lose at a certain point in time in the future.
Right.
And who's to say that they won't be the ones that actually try to do their kind of revenge? This is all the cycle of violence and hatred and all that, and prejudice and just in general this type of stuff leads to is that you know that one guy that you slighted way back ago? Well, that guy had a kid, and that kid grew up, and then over that last 20 years hated you, and then randomly bumps into you at the ballroom, pulls a sidearm, and shoots you 12 times in the chest.
Right, exactly.
And you're just dead.
Like
it's like, well, how could you have known that? Well, you could have been a decent human being.
Right.
And avoided that.
Well, or even not even a decent human being.
Just a
bit of a smarter human being.
Yeah.
Like this reminds me of in Joss Whedon's film that I love so much, Serenity, the film continuation of Firefly. When the bad guy's introduced, he's talking to some doctor dude, and he's just like, "Do you know what your sin is, doctor? It's pride." And then a few minutes later, he kills him because the guy messed up because he was so proud and thought that nothing could ever go wrong, right?
Right.
That's the situation that our prince is in.
Right, and I think that that's a good flaw for our characters to have in the Empire.
Especially in nobility.
They should be a little bit arrogant.
Oh, definitely.
In some ways, Reinhardt did the same thing here, though.
Yes,
Reinhardt was a little bit cavalier with the aspect that Flegel is nothing compared to him at the current moment. Like, actually, like, not really that much. And maybe in terms of political influence, Flegel has some good clout to back him up.
He is a baron.
He is a baron, and Reinhardt is only a count. Now, I don't remember exactly the tier structure there with that. But Reinhardt is, in addition to being a count, the vice commander-in-chief of the Imperial fleet.
Yeah.
So, it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
So,
and just the idea that, like, okay, let's drop pretenses. I know you hate me. You've hated me from the start. Nothing that you've done has worked so far.
Right, but
let's just be honest about it.
But there's the idea of being honest that, yeah, you hate me, but then there's also a bit where you literally call them an inbred dog.
Yeah.
Like, sorry, ill-bred, but yeah, it's essentially
dog.
inbred, potentially.
Sweet home, Alabama.
Well, I think ill-bred could also mean that you have non-nobility in your bloodline in the past or something like that.
Or to put it another way, that maybe that's all you care about. So I'm going to insult that, but you've missed out on the whole point. Like you're nothing. You were born into everything you have. Who's to say that you actually have any capabilities of keeping what you have? Right? Sure. And I'm going to take it. I'm going to take it all.
Yeah. But he didn't need to do that.
Right.
Reinhardt did that for his own ego.
Yep.
And that could come to bite him in the ass later.
That's one of those tactics things that Kierheis probably would have been like,
Reinhardt, you're better than this guy. And you're better than this in a lot of ways.
Well, and also, remember what I've said to you since, like, school days of, like, maybe don't be as quick to make enemies.
Too reckless.
Yeah, like, I mean, you don't need to do that. Like,
it is interesting because I would love to see it almost be a little bit of a declaration of, like, Reinhardt's capacity, in that Flegel is like, yeah, I'm gonna start scheming. 2 days later, Oberstein shows up and he just kills him. Yeah. And it's Reinhardt saying, like, yeah, whoever was allied with this guy now knows I'm serious.
Right.
Mm-hmm. So they'll take me seriously and not just casually try to threaten my sister like that.
Right.
Because I think if he does it just late enough that Flegel will pass along what happened to someone else, like the prince, for instance, that could be a cool thing of where the prince is like, ooh, I might have just dodged 2 bullets. I had a guy coming in with a bomb, and then I have the vice commander in chief of the fleet, just killing one of my allies with someone else. This wasn't his doing. It was like
one of the things that I absolutely love about intrigue stories is how much it gets into the pride side of things, right? Because a lot of the stuff is unnecessary. It's posturing, and it's because people are trying to get personal power, right? And yet that posturing is exactly what makes it so juicy, right? Because if it didn't have that, then it would be too quick, cut, dry, and thorough, right? It would just be, someone goes in, kills the person,
pulls a gun, pulls a knife, pulls a
exactly
vibro battle axe.
Right, exactly. They would just do the thing and the person dies, right? There'd be no tension surrounding build up. Exactly.
We have to build to that climax.
Right.
You know?
As opposed to, the battle starts before the battle starts and, and it's over before it begins kind of thing that it could be, but that'd be so much less fun.
So that was just a little mini episode of, some classic Empire intrigue with a little bit of history thrown in to give us some context as to what's going on. And maybe a little bit of foreshadowing with the painting of Kaiser Rudolph burning in the estate of Prince Braunschweig as well.
And Reinhardt watching with glee. And then I didn't quite catch her first name.
Magdalena von
Westphal.
Westphal, yeah.
Westphal. Yeah. Westphal. Yeah.
Something like that.
Just being like, it does make quite the scene or something, and it's like, oh, wait, what?
Oh, slip of the tongue.
Kamimashite. Okay.
Yeah, I think it's more of the thing of where she's maybe the gossip one, and she's thinking about just this scene in the midst of this chaos that happens. One lone painting burns, and it's the current Kaiser, the painting that was just sent here.
Was it the current Kaiser or was it the first Kaiser?
No, the current Kaiser, I believe.
Oh. Gotcha. I thought it was the first Kaiser, and that was why the guy had it as a prized heirloom, because he was a loyalist to the original.
I think you're right.
Golden Bomb.
I think you're right. Yeah, the Golden Bomb dynasty was the first Kaiser's setup there. I can quickly check that here. I believe you're right. The way we could tell is basically based on the hair.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Oh, it's Kaiser Rudolph, yep.
Yep, okay.
And Kaiser Rudolph is the current Kaiser, right?
Maybe. So often, because it's Friedrich.
No, you're right. It is not. This is the first Kaiser.
Okay.
Yeah, it's definitely him. He's got sideburns and golden hair and everything. Yeah. I'm an idiot. I keep forgetting that Friedrich is...
Well, it's hard to keep track of all the people because they have the last names and the first names,
Yeah, and they interchange using which one's it when.
Right.
But yeah, Friedrich IV is the current Kaiser. Rudolf von
Rudolph the red-nosed Kaiser. Yeah.
Is the first Kaiser.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, so the fact that she commented on that, it might have just been because she saw Reinhardt watching it happen,
No, but here's a thematic thing what it is.
Yeah.
It's the fall of the Empire.
Sure.
It means that, underneath this type of intrigue, the Empire and this dynasty will fall.
This great dynasty that set everything up.
Mm-hmm.
Nah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Easily burned away.
Because of the selfishness of a few individuals.
I do like that the prince wasn't able to keep the painting, though.
Oh, yeah. That was very poetic. Yep.
So, y'all, thank you so much for watching this episode's reaction and discussion. If you want to see the next episode's reaction and discussion right now, though, go check out the link in the description below for our Patreon. You can get early access there. You can watch full-length reactions there, and all this comes with Discord access, so you can chat with us and the community there about this show, about anime in general, and you can also talk with Jacob about the sci-fi novel that he wrote.
That's right. If you like sci-fi, then you should totes check out my sci-fi novel Battle Lines. It's really cool. It's on Amazon. Links in the description down below. It's in both hardback and ebook, so whichever one works best for you, go check it out.
Yeah, so if any of that interests you, we'll see you there. But until then, we're Semblance of Sanity. I'm Caleb.
I'm Jacob.
And we'll see you all
next time.